Kamam. Literally, action, work, deed. In this and the two following sections Upekkha is apparently used as a psychological term only, without ethical implication, and signifies simply neutral feeling. There will be but one of these, viz. Attention. In the text omit p after titi, as in, and for the same reason. Jhana and the path, says the Sai, are not included in the summary. And why? Jhana at its extremity has conception, and the path at its extremity has cause. Hence, it is not consistent to include jhana in a thought that has no conceptual activity, or the path, when the thought is not causally effective. This remark throws a little light onto the problem of indeterminate states. In Vitakko the mind is working towards an end good or bad. In the path the first factor is synonymous with absence of dullness, which is the cause or root of good. Neither Vitakko nor Amoho is, therefore, a possible constituent in a cognition which is inefficacious to produce good or bad karma. Or, a touch. The view that the cognition of something tangible has a positive hedonic concomitant. Pleasant or, if the karma be bad, unpleasant, as compared with the neutral feeling attending other kinds of sense cognition, is of psychological interest. And the comment it evokes is not less so. Touch, or body sensibility, is, the Sai explains, the one sense through which the four elements without and within the individual come into direct contact. Other cognition is secondary, inasmuch as the other senses are derived. They are as balls of cotton wool on four anvils, deadening the impact of the hammer. In touch the wool is beaten through, and the reaction is stronger. This with the theory of sense below. Nevertheless, the ease or the distress is so faintly marked, that the cognition remains indeterminate. The constituent states, contact, etc., refer only to the last named species of cognition. In the case of the other four, disinterestedness would have to be substituted for ease. Vedana has dropped out of the printed text. In omit p in the text after titi. In supply kaya before vinanadhatu. The state manandriyam is, it is true, one of representative cognition only, but it is occupied, under the given circumstances, with a kaya vinyanam. The door of mano has as its object any or all of the objects of the five senses. Once more the Sai points out the significance of the affixed dhatu, as meaning the absence of entity, the emptiness, or phenomenal character of the ideational faculty. Above. The characteristics of mano are here set out. See Introduction. The theory of a sensorium commune here alluded to is practically identical with that adopted by Aristotle in the De Sensu. The basis of this kind of thought is a constant, namely, the heart. The objects of the doors are not constants. Whereas they come in one after another, this is the locus, which has the function of receiving them into unity. The process of cognition is completed by manavinyanadhatu. These include two others, resolve and attention. Above. Inasmuch, says the Sai, as this thought is neither good nor bad, intention, either right or wrong, is not included in the connotation of its component Vitakko. And, also, n. The references given in the text will prove, on examination, to be for the most part misleading. The function of the Manavan Nanadhatu is discussed in the introduction. As a resultant state, it is here said, when, accompanied by happiness, to eventuate in two sets of circumstances. standing in the doors of the five senses. It accomplishes the task of deciding as to that idea which the element of ideation, just expired, received on the expiry of that sense cognition which constituted the result of good karma. Again, when the action of the 6 doors results in a more impressive idea, this becomes what is called the idea, i.e., the object of the impulse, and the element of representative cognition is drawn away to fix itself on that object. So a vessel crossing a strong current avails to turn the latter aside for a moment, though its natural course is a flowing downward. The normal flow of the intellect is, so to speak, down the stream of the individual life. And it is this normal functioning of the intellect which alone is here taken into account. The further stage of cognition immediately preceding any outgoing or conative impulse such as seems to be meant by the word java-nam. I allude to that of establishing, is not here explicitly mentioned. But it is probably implied in the phrase santranadi, deciding and the rest, and it is discussed a few pages further on. The reference to in the text is again incorrect, for there is to be no rehearsal of either jhana or path. And asl. This sort of resultant cognition is said to take effect or occur on 5 sorts of occasions. The conception of infirm offspring, viz. blind, deaf, imbecile or insane, hermaphrodite or neuter, during the span of one individual lifetime. In the decision respecting an idea where the object causes neither pleasure nor pain. When that object, of absorbing impressiveness arises. When death opens the way to renewed existence. It will be seen that these 5 correspond to the 1st, 2nd, 10th, 13th and 14th occasion on which vijnanas occur, according to the Visuddhimagga. It is possible that the absence of explanatory matter in our C.A.F. is due to the existence of a full treatment by Buddhaghosa in the former earlier work. It is difficult in the present stage of knowledge respecting the Buddhist theory of the indeterminate and of Vipaco to supply any safe reference for the elided states here supposed to be rehearsed. The following section seems to indicate that at least 2 more states than those enumerated in the kinds of indeterminates just discussed are to be included. Namely, the absence of lust, of hate, and of dullness. But the C.A.F. is not at all lucid, and breaks away into a long rambling discussion on casuistical views respecting Vipaco. This highly elliptical paragraph, in which I have supplied the 3rd root, inadvertently omitted in the text, but required by the context, is presumably intended to show wherein the nidisa, or descriptive exposition of certain of the constituent states of each of the 8 types of Kesselt differ from those given in each of the corresponding 8 types of good thoughts. C. Continue as in. In the printed text the p here should be omitted, as is done in. Omit likewise in. On the difficulty of determining which constituent dhammas are to be here understood, c. n. The word karma and its proprium, storing up, are now superseded respectively by locutorum jnanam and cultivation or practice. Above. No comment is given on the development of this faculty, in the case of indeterminate states, before the first path is left behind. But the reason is presumably that, in the quest of the ideal, the result implies the attainment of a higher path, or at least of the fruition of the first path. The faculty is not expressly stated in the corresponding passages of either in the printed text or in K. But there can, by the context, be no doubt that it is to be taken as read. See above. Ibid. The compilers would appear, here and in certain subsequent answers, to have made an attempt at condensation otherwise than by the usual p. This is, I believe, a very rare instance. Sic liege. For Vivikeva Kamehi read Vitakavikaranam Vupasama. For Apanihitan T Vipako repeated read Anamitan T Vipako. Sunatam has been inadvertently omitted from the text. Omitted in K. Read in the printed text animitum for aponymitum. Omitted in K. No title is appended to this group, but it will be seen that it is a repetition of group via. With this additional feature, that the jhana which constitutes the karma is empty. Read animitum for sunatam. Omit locutoro before faso. Above. The passage which occurs here in the printed text, line of the answer, viz. Vivikeva, down to faso hoti, seems to be a corrupt reading, presenting discrepancies with that symmetry both of construction and elision which usually marks Pitaka compilation. K. Omits the phrase. This term is omitted in K. It belongs, however, to the attainment of the second path, and is only superseded by the intellectual climax of aniiatavindriyam. I do not think, therefore, that it is a wrong reading. Avyakata here in the printed text should of course be kasala. I am not up to the present aware whether this term occurs anywhere else in the three Pitakas. By Buddhaghosa it is defined as the distinctive faculty of the aniiatavi, of him who, in the philosophy of the Four Truths, has completed what was to be done. And the doctrines mentioned in the answer are defined as the associated or constituent doctrines, within which the subject has attained proficiency, or which he has mastered inwardly. Possibly, however, dhammanam refers to those intellectual states as mastered and controlled by the aniiatavin, which are comprised in the answer. Avikkhepo hoti. P. As included in the printed text, is omitted in K. It is, however, not incorrect, since a description of constituent states, beginning with contact and ending with balance, similar to that given in, and only differing by the substitution of the faculty of one whose knowledge is made perfect, for the faculty of believing that I shall come to know the unknown, is here supposed to be fully rehearsed. As it stands, however, it is a little misleading. With section B, and its three subdivisions are to see, compare the coordinate results of good karma described above, and under B happy results are out of the question, the determining antecedents having been evil. Judging by the corresponding answer respecting good karma in the P. here appended in the printed text is erroneous. K. omits it. This list and the following sections apply to the last named mode of sense cognition, namely, that of body. In the case of the other modes, disinterestedness, instead of distress, would occasion to certain questions different answers. For mano vinfianadatu in the printed text read kaya vinanadatu.